if the brain cell's dead, you can't bring it back to life. So the idea is to get the artery open before too many brain cells die. The purpose of the mobile stroke unit is essentially to take everything that we do in the emergency room to the patient in order to get the treatment, get the imaging done, distinguish, is it a bleeding or is it due to a blocked artery? And then whichever it is, they get the treatment started in the first few minutes after the symptoms start. Nobody had ever done this before, so there was no template or recipe for how to get a mobile stroke unit in operation. Once we decided to do it, I had to raise money for this mobile stroke unit. And Mack is, of course, well known as a philanthropist in the city. He's a friend of UT Health, and importantly also, he's my patient, so I knew him. And he and I had lunch one day, and I said that, would he be interested in this? And he said, well, who's going to do this? And I said, well, I've retired from the medical school, and this is my second career, and I'm going to be the doctor on the mobile stroke unit, seeing patients. And when I said that, and he saw that I was committed to it, and that this was something I was going to do, you know, that's his mantra, right? He's hands-on. And so he saw that this was going to be a hands-on thing that I was taking ownership of, and so he said he'd be happy to support it.
I had a lot of mini strokes, and they couldn't figure out what the problem was. I went to Dr. Grata, and he figured it out pretty quick, gave me the right meds, and prevented me from having a massive stroke. So when he called saying we're going to do this mobile stroke project, I was more than happy to, Gallery Furniture, more than happy to fund the money for this incredible thing that's helping so many Houstonians.
I was in my office doing some paperwork, and I started feeling a little lightheaded. Didn't think much of it. I started walking downstairs, and I got to the kitchen, and I started kind of hitting my foot against the table. And Donna was in this room, and she called out. She said, "What's going on?" And I didn't answer her, so she says it again. Same thing, nothing happens. Finally, she walks in, and I'm slumped over the chair, and I'm numb on my left side. I'm paralyzed. And she goes, "You're having a stroke." I said, no way. I said, "You're crazy. I'm not having a stroke."
I had peeled some pears, me and my daughter-in-law, and my brother was here and his wife, and we just having a good time. And after they left, my husband said he wanted a sandwich, and I said, "Well, I'm hungry too." So I went in and I had some deli turkey and Swiss cheese. I said, "Oh, I can make us a good sandwich." And I got all of that out and started making the sandwich, and I started shaking. And I just went into, I don't know what happened to me. I was shaking so until I grabbed the kitchen table and was going to hold myself steady, and I almost turned the table over. And so he came over and helped me down in the chair and called 911.
I had just come back from picking up something for lunch, and I got off the elevator, and my left hand started tingling, and my arm started tingling. And I did think to myself, am I having a heart attack? But, I didn't have any other heart attack symptoms, so I just kept going down the hall, but I noticed that my left hand was numb. I kept dropping my car keys, and I'd bend down to pick them up and drop them because I had no feeling in that left hand. And so for some reason I thought, well, maybe I'll just sit down here in the hallway for a moment and gather myself, and then I'll go back to my office and continue the day. And then I just thought, well, maybe I need to lie down. So I lied down, and at that moment, a woman that I work with came out in the hallway. She saw me, and she immediately recognized the signs of a stroke.
She calls 911, and she is frantic. And I'm just laying there on a chair, and she is just beside herself. So it took only a couple of minutes for the ambulance to get to the house. And when they came in, I was kind of in and out of it. I thought they were repair people. I didn't know what was going on. And they were just working on me, and the next thing I know, I'm in a mobile stroke unit.
One of the EMTs that was in the group knew about the stroke unit, and he called the stroke unit. And the stroke unit told him that meet him up on 10 at McCarthy. And he would check me out. The doctor would, and they put me on a stroke unit, and it saved my life. They started working on me time I got in there. They said because I didn't remember anything else, and they scanned me. They gave me the medicine to slow it down and all of that.
EMS came very quickly, and they put me in the ambulance. My husband was able to meet me right there, and we started towards the medical center. And about halfway there, we pulled off at Westheimer and 610, and they switched me into the mobile stroke unit.
A lot of times when we approach the paramedics, they say, well, Doc, we can get the patient to the emergency room in 15 minutes from wherever they call, and why do you need to have this special ambulance? And what they don't realize is that, well, once they get the patient to the emergency room in those 15 minutes, then there has to be an evaluation in the emergency room, which takes up to an hour. So we save that entire time that the patient is in the emergency room, which before they get treated, which could be anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour or maybe even more. Well, 30 minutes may not seem like a lot, but when you say 30 minutes times 2 million brain cells each minute, that's a substantial amount. And so in that first hour, every minute counts.
The national average of hitting the door at the hospital to getting that clot busting medication is 63 minutes. But if we get on scene, we can treat right there on scene within about 15 minutes of being on scene. We have telemedicine on board to where they can assess the patient from the pupils all the way down to see, raise their arm, raise their leg, and interact with the patient.
The current setup for the telemedicine in the mobile stroke unit consists of we have a more portable camera system that is set up in the ambulance, allows us to examine the patients, get their history, look at the CT scan, which the CT scan gets sent over to our server that we have on our computer, and then be able to talk to the patient and then talk to us, document their stroke severity, and then make recommendations if needed. It also allows us to call ahead to the hospitals to tell them that we have a severe stroke coming in. Let's get everything prepared. Let's mobilize the team. If they need surgery, we can get that all squared away before they even hit the door of the hospital, which again allows for better care to our patients.
Our goal is to save time and brain cells by treating strokes out in the field. Instead of having to come all the way into the hospital. It seems like right now it's saving about 70 minutes, which for every minute you're having a stroke is 2 million brain cells dying. So that accounts to about 140 million neurons.
Everything that we're doing on the ambulance is standard management. So it's the same treatment and the exact same evaluation by the same doctors, namely me, who would be also seeing the patient in the emergency room. Patients are blown away when we show up with our ambulance and the families, and a doctor jumps out of the ambulance and who's not just a physician, but someone who's a stroke specialist, and evaluates their loved one or the colleague or whoever is the patient, and then evaluates them and treats them right there on the spot.
Just going out there, it's pretty exciting, from going from the ER and ICU to out in the field working with the first responders. It's a collaborative effort. They see their stroke immediately. We all work together to get that IV in and do the labs to make sure that they fit criteria to treat. And we also help the fire departments by putting them back in service.
As you can imagine, if patients have to get to the emergency room, to call 911 and get to the emergency room, nobody ever gets treated within that first hour after the symptoms start, because it takes time to get to the emergency room and then to have all the workup in the emergency room. With our mobile stroke unit, 40% of the patients that we're treating within the first hour after the symptoms start, and another 30% we're treating between 60 and 80 minutes of symptom onset. So we definitely